Hey guys, Tiffany here. So, we're just going to do a middle of the year recap on books that I've read. We'll also chat about books that I want to read this year because y'all know my TBR is 800 some books. Also, I set my reading goal to be 70 books this year because I got pretty close to that last year, so I thought it was achievable. Well, I've only read 17 so far, so I'm not doing great. But you know what? It's not about the number, it's about the experience. I'm enjoying the books I'm reading. Life has been crazy. We'll see how close I get by the end of the year. But let's run through what I've read so far. So we've got Light Lark and Nightshade. Gave both of these, I believe, 5-star. I might have given Light Lark 4 and Nightshade 5, but both are fantastic. I would like to finish and read Skyshade and Crown Tide. Also, 'tis the season, so you'll probably hear fireworks in the background. So I do want to read these two before the end of the year. Leah and I did a buddy read on these two. So we've got our reading blog up on our channel for Light Lark, and then we'll eventually get the Nightbait one up as well. So I got those two. I also, okay guys, again, my TBR is 800 some pages, so you would think that each time I read a book, it's going to be a new one. Well, I'm reading Throne of Glass again because I love it so much and I can't help it. My bestie and I are reading it again together. First time I read this series, we read the physical books together. This time we are listening to the audiobooks together because we are both crazy busy, and that is about the only way that we can fit it in on top of everything else that we're doing. But I wanted to show you my collector's edition because it's so pretty. I mean, look at that. Look how beautiful that is. And on the pages, this isn't a spoiler, but on the pages, you've got some word marks. So if you haven't read it, you don't know what that means, but you need to read it. Like the whole series, 10 out of 10. 10 out of 5. I mean, I don't even have words. I'm at a loss for words because this whole series is amazing. You've got fantasy, adventure, mystery, danger, a little bit of romance. It's amazing. I think that's all I'm going to say because I think I'll spoil if I just keep talking about it. But if you are wanting a new fantasy series, Throne of Glass, highly recommend. I mean, really, any of Sarah J. Maas's books, beautiful. I feel like A Court of Thorns and Roses, if you haven't read it, that you still have the fantasy vibes, but I think more romance in that. And then Crescent City is more of like an urban fantasy. But one thing that I love is all of her series at one point kind of intertwine with each other. Whether it's actual intertwining is all I'm going to say, or there's like little Easter eggs hidden around everywhere. It's fantastic. So yes, love Throne of Glass. I will read this forever and ever. So currently listening to the series. Next one, The Altruism Effect. So I did a review on this book, so I'm not gonna spend too much time, but 5 out of 5. Fantastic psychological thriller. So check out that review. This is part of a series, so I, at some point, am going to read her other 3 books because it was amazing. And then I also, last physical book that I read, because I read also a lot of ebooks. So not my normal, Learning to Love Yourself Well. So I also kind of started a self-love journey, and this was part of it. I gave it a 5 out of 5. This is fantastic, especially looking at self-love from a Christian perspective. Because I think sometimes in general we can feel like loving ourselves is selfish, or we don't have time, or any of those things. And a lot of things in here put it in perspective of, you know, one of my biggest things is I love to help other people. Well, I can't help other people if I don't love myself first. So I'm not going to bore you guys all with my journey, but this book was fantastic. It's a very short read too, super easy to get through, but very powerful. The first few pages, I felt like I was getting called out, and I was like, I think this is the book for me. So fantastic book. Ebooks that I read. So I read She Who Broke the Covenant. I did a review on that not too long ago, so I'm not going to go into big detail, but fantastic fantasy, historical fiction there. And then the Therans. So Secrets Beneath Scars, Legends Never Die. Those two books were fantastic. And we also did an interview with the author Cindy Breck. So check that one out. Fantastic YA fantasy, a lot of mystery in there, a lot of adventure, a little bit of romance, kind of that like first love romance, which is really cute. So, and she is working on the third book. I'm anxiously waiting for that book to come out, so I'm super excited. And then of course, you know, I say it doesn't matter what book you read, you can add it to your books I read this year and go to your count. So, you know, I read this next book for work. I'm still counting it because I was reading. So if anybody's interested in dog training, it's called Controlled Unleashed, and it's reactive to relaxed. Give it 5 out of 5. A lot of fantastic pointers in there. So again, not my normal, but I'm counting that towards my 70 because I need all the help that I can get. So it was a good book. And then also Dark Fae and Savage Fae, got through those. I'm currently reading Vicious Fae. So I'm working through the whole world of Solaria, and I've read, I think, the first 2 books of Zodiac Academy, and then I think I jumped into this series. It's either the first 2 or the first 3. The reading order that I chose for reading these books in the world of Solaria is the emotionally damaging order, because y'all know that I want to be crushed. I want my heart to be pulverized when I finish reading books. So, of course, I chose that reading order. So I'm currently on Vicious Fae. Obviously, my goal this year is to, I know I'll be able to finish that series because there's one more book after Vicious Fae, I think. And then I'm going to hop back into Zodiac Academy, I think. And then there's another series, I can't remember what it's called, but I think it's With Wolves. I don't remember. I have to look at it again. But my goal is to get more of that done. Will I get that whole series done this year? Probably not, if we're being honest. But I will get through some of it. And Leah's also going through this series as well, and Zodiac Academy, so we may end up doing a video together once we're both finished talking about all of our thoughts on the whole, you know, all of the series as a whole. And then I also read A War Through Destiny. This was an ARC read. This one I think I gave 4 out of 5 stars. It's a young adult. I think there's a little bit of historical fiction, but kind of a fantasy. It was pretty good. I do believe that she has another book coming out. I think this is part of a series. I can't remember. I'm sorry. But it wasn't bad. I do think there were some parts that were a little slow for me, but it did pick up towards the end as well. So really not that bad. And then I also read The Perfect Marriage, The Perfect Divorce, and those books, phenomenal. I only recently, over the last maybe year or so, started getting back into thrillers, and these 2 books, fantastic. I did a review on both of them, so I'm not going to bore you with all the details again, but for both of them, I thought I knew what was happening. I was like, I'm so smart, I got it figured out. No. What? Nope. Did not have a clue at all. It was fantastic. It was amazing. Those are my favorite kinds of thrillers. So, highly recommend those if you're looking for another thriller. And then I also read Fives Academy by Elle Wood. That one was super fun. YA fantasy set in, obviously, an academy based off the title. But it was really cool. A lot of adventure, a lot of fun things, super cute familiars. Chaos is my favorite side character. And I did a review on that as well, so you can check that out on our channel. And fun things coming up with Elle. So I did recently meet her at the Big Ohio Book Con. She's such a sweetie. But I got her book, The Vault. And it is part of a series, and she was telling me it gives kind of X-Men and Maze Runner vibes, which I like both. So super excited to read this. This is on my list. And we are doing an interview with her, so that will be coming out in the month of July. So I'm super excited about that. And then I also, starting the year, I feel like I kind of worked my way backwards here. Starting the year, around the holidays when I was off for work, I spent, I think, maybe 2 days predominantly reading the whole day, and it was the best 2 days of my life. It was amazing. But I read Twisted Love, Twisted Games, and Twisted Hate. I did not read the fourth one, and I will say they're not bad books. I think they just weren't the right fit for me because it's contemporary romance. I don't even know if I would say dark romance. I think some people might put them in that category. I don't know if I would. And again, they're not bad. I think reading 3 contemporary romance books in a row without any sort of magic or fantasy really just made me go, I'm over it. But they were not bad books. And the other reason I didn't read the last one is I felt like sort of the same themes were happening in each book. And so it felt just predictable of, okay, I know that these guys are going to end up together. And I'm sure that was done on purpose potentially, because it is kind of like a group of friends, and like, you know that certain people are going to end up together. How they end up together, each one's a little bit different. But I needed a fantasy magical palette cleanser by the time I was done with that series, or those 3 books. So again, I didn't even read the 4th book because it just wasn't for me. There were definitely cute moments in there. You know, some of the characters had really good banter. I think the second one, I think it's the second one. The FMC and the MMC really did not like each other. And so there's a lot of banter there. As they start to realize that, I actually have feelings for you. So, I mean, there were definitely cute moments. And I am all for an MMC who is protective. If they say the phrase, "who did this to you?" plus or minus growling, sold. Doesn't matter. I think that's why I love mafia romances. So like, that's a contemporary romance, sure. But I just love the protective MMC. So I did enjoy that because all 3 of them had very protective MMCs. And I was like, okay, I can get down with that. But again, I don't think they were fully for me, so I passed them on to somebody else who will hopefully enjoy them and love them, and maybe pass them on to somebody else or keep them. So those were all of the books that I've read so far. Ones that I definitely want to read this year, obviously I showed, these 2, Sky Shade and Crown Tide, with the Lightlark series, and then The Vault by Elle Wood. And then I met this author at the Big Ohio Book Con. We are going to be doing an interview with him at some point this year. We just have to get that set up. But his books we've got The Healing Stone and The Stone Inside. So it is part of the Shadows of Time series. And then there's also a prequel he sent me. I forgot what it's called, but there is a prequel that I'll be reading with these as well. But predominantly science fiction. Some of this is set in Ohio, so I thought that was pretty cool. And then like there's time traveling and all sorts of other cool things that he had talked about. So I am super excited to dive into these. And you know, again, my TBR is 800 some books long, so I'm sure I will find other books to read. You know, my best friend and I are listening to the Throne of Glass series, so I'm currently waiting for Crown of Midnight, which is the second one, because I did not reserve it ahead of time. So we are pausing on our listening until I can get my book. But I'll get through that series, and you know, I know some of these back here, like the Deathbringer, D.L. Jennings series, I'm super excited to read. This is kind of, I feel like this whole shelf here is like my sci-fi shelf. The Red Rising series, where is it there? The Red Rising series is fantastic. If you need another sci-fi series to read, highly recommend. I've only read the first 3, so I do want to read the next 3. The nice thing is you can read the first 3 kind of together, take a break, and go to the next 3 is what I heard, because the next 3 are set, I think somebody said like 10 years in the future from this first part. So, but when I get to that point, I'll probably reread the first 3 because I just loved it, and I also just need a refresher on what happened because it's been so long. But that is my middle of the year recap with our lovely fireworks in the background. 'Tis the season, and you know, definitely keep an eye out for more author interviews that we're going to be doing. Like I said, we have Elwood coming up in July. Hopefully we will get an interview with John Newton to talk about these books. And then there's a few others that we'll be reaching out to get some of those going as well. And of course, if you guys have any book recommendations, author interviews, things like that, please let us know. The other book that I just happened to see that I do want to read this year, I'm just making my list longer and longer. Y'all know I'm not going to get to all these. I did get The Keepers by Sarah Gerke. So if you remember, she was our very first interview on the channel, and I got her book. So I have this, and then I have The Potioneers, which is I think it's just a novella, but she told me to read it after this if I want to be emotionally damaged. I said, girl, you know that that's what I want. So I definitely do want to read this because this just came out this month. This is June, this month, a few weeks ago, actually. So I'm very excited, and I know she's got more coming because this is part of a series. So of course, when those come out, we'll be reading those too. All right, well, thanks for hanging out, and feel free, if you guys want notifications whenever we post something, there's a little bell icon that you can hit. Feel free to follow us on social media as well, so you can just keep up with all of our shenanigans, and I'll chat with you later. Bye.